Hi guys, thanks for tuning in. In this video I'm gonna talk about the Canon EOS R5 and we'll figure out the question if the R5 is really a good choice if you consider yourself as a filmmaker. Coming up! Hi guys, my name is Paul, I'm a German filmmaker and this channel is all about filmmaking, gear reviews but also DaVinci Resolve tutorials. So if that's something that you're interested in, consider subscribe, I would really appreciate that. So in the previous video I already compared the Canon EOS R5 against the Canon EOS R6 and talked a lot about specs and detailed comparison in image quality and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to see that, I will link it for you here. In this video I'm mainly gonna talk about my experience with the camera because Canon did send me the camera for testing. I had it now for more than 4 weeks and I used it on professional shoots side to side with my Canon EOS R6 as well as with my Blackmagic Pocket. And I think I have a pretty good understanding of this camera right now. So if you consider yourself as a hybrid shooter, so you do photo as well as you do video, I think the Canon EOS R5 is a great choice because it has exceptional image quality and it will take great photos as well, and also video capabilities are also great on this camera. But if you don't need 45 megapixels or 8K, I think the better option is the Canon EOS R6 because it's almost half the price, and especially when we are comparing both of them in video, the Canon EOS R6 already does what many of us wanted to have. It does 4K full frame, it does also 4K full frame up to 60 frames. It has 120 frames in full HD and the image it has 10-bit 422. And yeah, the only advantage that the Canon EOS R5 has is the 8K and the 4K 120. So talking about the 4K 120, that one didn't convinced me, so to say, because I think the image is really muddy and there's not much detail in there. So it's basically almost the same like the full HD 120 of the EOS R6. It has only on paper more pixels, but there's not much detail in that footage because Canon uses line skipping. And it's not downsampling the 8K signal to 4K 120, and line skipping comes with the disadvantages of artifacts and footage gets a little bit muddy and so it's lacking a lot of detail in there. So if I compare it to the 2.8K 120 of my Blackmagic Pocket, that one is far more superior, I can honestly tell you. So this camera is not the greatest when it comes to 120 frames per second. It has full frame, that's great, but the Canon C70, that 4K 120 looks superb because it's 1:1 pixel readout and that one looks really great. And here the 4K 120 looks really muddy and I think it's not... You can use it of course, but I think there are better options out there. And especially the C70 has almost the same price. And and also now let's talk about the 8K. And if you really need 8K, I think it's like a specialty camera. When you need this kind of resolution, then the Canon EOS R5 is really great because the detail coming out of this 8K or even the 4K HQ is outstanding. It looks really great and I've never seen an image detailed like this. But on the other side, especially the 8K RAW is not really usable in my opinion because the data rates are far too big, even compared to the Blackmagic Pocket 6K or the RED Komodo. The files are almost 4 times the size. And and also the Canon RAW is not the easiest to edit. So I think you're only gonna need it for certain situations and I don't think that this is really worth it in the end. I also compared it in some situations with the Blackmagic Pocket and the RED Komodo side to side, and the 8K looks really detailed and sharp and all that. And also the color science from Canon is great. It's very color accurate according to the color chart. Skin tones are always perfect. From the test I didn't see, I can't really figure out which one of these have the best dynamic range. Therefore I had to test it even more, which I didn't. But I think the C-Log 2, the dynamic range is quite good, but you only get that in Canon RAW, and that's really, and if you choose to shoot in MP4 or something like that, it's only Canon log, which is very limited when it comes to dynamic range. So, and yeah, also the 8K RAW is a pain to edit, and you also don't get the benefits that other cameras offer you with RAW, like changing the ISO, changing the gamma, all that kind of good stuff. So as for example, RED Komodo RAW or Blackmagic RAW are superb RAW codecs, and Canon is not quite there yet. So my personal answer to this is, if you want to shoot professional video, then get of course the C70 if you want to stick with the Canon lineup. Or if you're a hybrid shooter, go with the Canon EOS R6. I personally use the Canon EOS R6 as my run and gun camera, so to say. For my productions I always use the Blackmagic Pocket and will use my Komodo as well. But for these run and gun kinds of scenarios I use the Canon EOS R6, and I'm quite happy with that. And the Canon EOS R6 does all the things that you really care about. I think it does 4K full frame, it does 4K up to 60 pre, and also that is super sample from the 5.5K sensor. So the 4K 60 out of the R6 looks way more detailed than the line skipped 4K 60 of the Canon EOS R5. If you have any further questions, just drop them down in the comments below, and I'm gonna see you in my very next video. And sorry for the noise that the table does here. I'm not sure what's going on. So see you in my very next video. Cheers!